this is Hap for Hap Around the House, and we're changing out our grease guns. So, I have two different grease guns. The one that's in the picture right now is just an average grease gun that you'd pick up at like Tractor Farm Supply. So, once it's empty, how do you know it's empty? Well, you're pumping it, nothing's coming out. So what you do is you grab it firmly like thus, pull, and pull, and pull, and pull. And there's a little detent in the shaft that you move off to the side and it'll catch. Try to keep it as clean as you can. Grease is no fun to screw with. I don't like messing with this stuff, but I have an old tractor that has grease zerks, so once you have grease zerks, you gotta keep them greased. So we're going to change this one out. This one has a flexible tube. This is handy because it allows you to squirrel around stuff. Needs to be tightened up a little bit too. It's loose right on the neck there. But now that you have the spring compressed, and you do not want to do this without the spring compressed because you will have things fly everywhere. No fun. I've done it once. That's how you learn. But if you can learn from me doing this as opposed to go chasing parts all over the place, well, it's a lot more fun. So what we have is we have the old grease container in there, and just grab it with a pair of pliers and pull like that. Sometimes it comes out, sometimes you'll pull this. There's an aluminum neck that goes around here, and you'll pull that out. Then you've got to work your pliers between the wall of the grease gun and the wall and grab it like this and yank it out. But that wasn't the case this time. Let me throw this away. Stinky, nasty stuff, let me tell you. But I'm just going with a number 2 grease. Fairly simple. Just take the top off. You see how it's filled like that. Put it in. Slide it all the way down. Pop the top. Do this kind of slow if you can. Try to keep as much grease from falling off as possible. And then just wipe it off like so. Let me throw this away in the top. Stinky. It smells like 80-90 oil is what it smells like. Basically, grease is just almost like a soap with oil kind of mixed in with it. So that's what actually greases your bearings, is the mixture. And it works really good, but it's stinky and it's kind of nasty sometimes. Now with this grease gun, we do not have a bleeder on the top. Sometimes with the more expensive grease guns, you'll have a little bleeder. This is one. Now this is just basically a pipe plug. I've got another one tore apart. But they'll drill and tap that, and then they'll put that plug in there, and you can pull that out, and that'll allow some of the air to escape, so you don't have to pump this thing 30,000 times. Because basically, this just pumps 1 cc of grease out at a time. 1 cubic, centimeter of grease. And it's not very much. A cubic centimeter is not very much. So that's how you do it. And once you have the top on, release your spring. And again, there's a detent there, so there it is. And then the spring will push the grease up. Now I have to bleed this before I can use it. So I'll be out in the garage pumping that thing 30,000 times. Now this is a German grease gun, much, much better quality. I already have the grease tube pulled out, and I believe I had some sort of blue moly grease in it. It looks like. Still stinks, of course. But I'm going to put number 2 in it because that's all I really need. I don't need any sort of specialty grease anymore. Number 2, straight number 2 is perfect for this application that I'm going to be using. So again, slide your grease tube in. Grab a hold of the pull tab, like so. Pull it nice and slow. Try to get as much grease in there as you can without flopping all over. Like that. There we are. And put her in. Top back on. I'm trying to manhandle this. Now this pumps more than 1 cc of grease. This particular grease gun does. I think it's more like a 1.3. it has a longer stroke. And to be honest with you, I will not show you the process of bleeding this off, because sometimes it can be messy and you can have a big long line of grease pop out of there and all sorts of fun weird stuff happens. It's best to do that outside. Of course, I'm at the kitchen table, and this isn't the place to probably be bleeding grease gun. This probably isn't the place to be changing grease guns either, but it's a lot more, it's a little chilly out there today. It's raining, it's nasty. So I just prefer to do it right here. But that's how you do it. And you put your, if I can, get this little threaded, as I try to get this plug to go back in. What the heck's going on here? I used to know how to do this stuff. Well, my goodness. Now, you know, I've also seen grease guns that have a little bearing that you push, and it will allow the grease to come out. Those are handy too, because you don't have to take this out. So in other words, there'll be a little bearing right there, and you'll just take like a little, I don't know, scratch awl or a pen actually, and just push it, and there'll be a little swale of grease that'll come out because it's pressurized once you remove this, once you take the tension off the spring. And I'm going to tighten this down just a quarter turn here, and I'll release the spring and show you what that looks like. This has a different kind of spring release. There's no detent in this rod here. You just push that down, and that catches like a screen door. You know, when you open up your screen door all the way and you have that little piece of steel. The same idea here is that stress from the steel. See how it, I don't know if you can see that move or not, but it'll grab it. But that is it. That is Grease Gun 101. Now again, for bleeding this one, I'll just pump the ever-living poop out of it. And for this one, outside where it's safe to spray grease, and I don't know if grease is going to come literally flying out of there. It's been a long time since I've changed a grease tube. You do not go through very many grease tubes at home. You just don't. You can also see the difference in the strokes on these two. See that? I don't know how well that's showing up on the camera. But this one goes way, way, way out straight, which means that you're going to have a lot more stroke. This one doesn't. So you're going to put a lot more grease in with the German grease gun than you would with the cheapo grease gun. But that is it. That is Grease Gun 101. They're handy to have, but if you don't have any greasable links on your tractor or car or truck, what the heck, don't have one. They're not necessary. Well, this is for Hap Around the House. If you like our content, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you. And take the glove off so I can shut the camera off. Now my gloves stink like grease.